Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about Damien Comolli press conference, in which he officially introduced our two latest signees, so Lois Openda from Leipzig and also Edon Zhegrova from Lille. He also took the opportunity to share his thoughts after the summer transfer window closed, and we know that for us supporters was pretty challenging because it was a slow transfer market for Juventus until the end, in which we had these two fireworks. And so overall, we can be partially satisfied, even if we know, sorry, we're missing some players. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and drop a comment down below. All those things really help the algorithm and pushes this content to other Juventini out there. And don't forget, the goal is to build a community in which every single one of us can express their opinion, always in a polite manner. But so let's move on and let's try to analyze Comolli's message, about the transfer window. I think Comolli opened the press conference with style. We're kind of getting used to his style. He's a new employee for Juventus, even if he's actually one of the big boss. But he started by greeting the players who left Juventus in this transfer window and spoke about the difficulties that the club faced this summer. And they were mostly linked to financial fair play, or FFP. You're going to read that at times in articles. It is the financial fair play, a rule that every club must now respect, even if it's clear that in Europe, and especially in Italy, is more challenging than the Premier League, also because of the amount of money that they bring in through television rights, etc., etc., etc. But it is forcing a lot of the decision in the transfer market, also thinking ahead about the future, because it can be challenging to kind of absorb some of those costs for some of those players between fees and all the other things. His message was very clear. The squad was already competitive before the transfer market and now has been made better, reinforced with great players like both Openda and Zhegrova. And the main idea was actually to keep the backbone of the team, to guarantee the continuity that has been missing in the last few years, since we changed coaches almost every other season. And then last year, we kind of wiped out most of our team during the summer transfer. Of course, if you compare Juventus to Napoli, for example, well, we took a completely different approach to the transfer market. We had less financial, capability as well, and we signed many less players, but we still focus on the quality, probably more than the quantity because we couldn't. And we targeted our decision. I think we raised the level without affecting that financial fair play, in which Juventus is highly involved because has already got some fees to pay for past management, and right now they know that they want to achieve certain goals before they have to achieve. They must achieve certain goals for 2026 and 2027. So this is a very delicate subject inside Juventus wall. Kind of like the financial portion of the business that in the past few years has been mistreated. But let's move on, because talking about economics sometimes get boring. We're here to talk about soccer, so let's focus on Openda and Zhegrova. Comolli explained before introducing the players the timing of the deals. We know that Zhegrova arrivals depended on Nico Gonzalez's departure, which was finalized at the very end of the transfer market with his move to Atletico Madrid. For Openda, instead, he said that the talks have been ongoing for weeks, but we know that Kolo Muani was the top priority since they won. And then once the deal fell through and they couldn't get it anymore, Juventus moved straight to the plan B. I'm happy they had a plan B, and they show all of us, the supporter, that they had a backup plan, another option, because we were all worried that we were going to be with in Italian, you say un pugno di mosche, so with a bunch of nothing in your hands. Also, with some diplomacy, Comolli addressed and denied any tension with PSG, because we understand that with the deal falling through for Kolo Muani, there were some tension. And Martin avoided controversy and kept the entire thing very professional. So I think we were missing that from Juventus in the past few years. So he did something that I hope in the future is going to be the normal conduct again inside Juventus, higher up levels. In the end, his message was always the same from day one. Juventus is very competitive, is young, we're proud of that, and we do have a lot of room to grow. He also made sure to say thank you to the ownership that during this transfer market has supported with their presence presence, sorry, and their commitment and the financial commitment, the team. And I think that that was another sign that, Comolli is trying to reestablish balance in between, the ownership and then the rest of the Juventus team. Well, let's focus on the players. So let's start from Zhegrova first. Zhegrova, clearly, if you guys know him, if you've seen some of the highlights when he was playing with Jonathan David at Lille, he is a very unpredictable player. It's something that we'll be missing because we have Conceição, of course, but Conceição has some very good things going on for him. He's very, very good in 1v1, but then when it's time to make the pass, sometimes he procrastinate and he waits too long, and then unfortunately he loses the chance to make something even more amazing. And I think when he's going to be able to change that, he's going to become a very, very important player for Juventus. Zhegrova is of course a winger who can beat definitely his man 1v1, can create the numerical advantage, which is very important, especially in Serie A, because not that many teams do it, and has the issue of fitness. That issue it's something that comes with the package. We knew about that before. He had that surgery, and he has not played an official game since December, which is a very, very, very long time. So we need patience because it's going to take time. In fact, it's the same Zhegrova himself that during this press conference says, I'm not going to be ready for this Saturday for the Derby d'Italia against Inter, and I'm probably not even going to make it for a spot on the bench. So fans, I'm saying that to you and to myself, it's important to be patient because after such a very, very challenging injury and also the surgery and the recovery, it's going to take time. But I do believe that once, Zhegrova regains the rhythm and intensity, it could be a real weapon for Juventus and really make a difference and probably become one of the starting 11 every single game. So let's talk about the second player, which, I think has been kind of underrated until now. If any other team had purchased Lois Openda, probably I was expecting more hype. In this case with Juventus, everybody kind of like tried to make this deal feel like nothing really special. But if you take a look at Openda's numbers in the past 3 seasons, I mean, he is one of the top 5 scorer in Europe. You know what I mean? We're talking about people like Holland. We're talking about Gyökeres. We're talking about very, very good players. And Openda is number 5. So it's not somebody to just take lightly or underestimate. But his story is completely different. He's ready to go. He said it today during the press conference. I am 100%. And, when they asked him which position he likes to play, he said straight away, I am a number 9. That's where I've always played. That's where I want to play. I'm a real striker. I'm capable of moving across the front line, right, left, middle. I can drop deep, but I can also, make sure that I attack the space. And he loves to score. That's what it is. I think both guys were pretty mellow today. I don't know if because Comolli was there, so it could be one of the reasons. But I think it was very clear about what he wants, how he feels. And, with the Conceição injured, I don't know if you know, but he was unfortunately sent back from Portugal because of a little muscle, small injury, even if nothing, it's official. But without him playing, without Conceição, I think Openda is making a strong case for a starting spot on Saturday. The good thing about it is that Openda, knows that the competition at Juventus is pretty big right now. There is the new signee David, you have Vlahovic. There is also Ditz, if you want to put it like in the mix, and all these things are motivating him. He feels motivated by the challenge to have competition, and he also thinks that this is going to push him forward, and going to push everybody forward to become a better player. If you remember that last year when we started the season, we only had Dusan Vlahovic and we had Milik, but Milik was already injured for that issue with his knee and the surgery. So Vlahovic was by himself for the entire first half of the season. He had nobody behind him, pushing him. He had nobody challenging for a spot on the starting 11. And at the end of the day, doesn't matter how professional you are, but your level of football will decrease if you don't have somebody behind you that is gonna kind of like challenge you. So that's very, very normal. And I think that it's also important to talk about another piece, because this was a press conference, but at the same time, we need to talk about the role of our coach, which this year, I say this year because they change often, is Igor Tudor. So that is being kind of like underestimated, the role and how important it is a coach, especially in Italy and especially at Juventus in the last few years. So I'm gonna say this clearly. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you guys. I don't think this is gonna happen. That's kind of something that I'm hoping for, but I don't think it's gonna happen. But for Saturday, I'd like to see Tudor be bold in his choices and start Openda right away. Since we know the Conceição is not going to make it, and it makes sense because next week there is also Champions League with the first game against, Borussia. So I think it's very important to preserve him and see if he can kind of come back for that specific game. But as of right now, I will go 100% in. It is not a gamble. He feels good. I will play Openda, and I think that's what Tudor should do. I don't think he's going to do it. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the alternative that he has is pretty risky. So if you adapt Cobb Miners right there in that position, side by side with Ildiz, which we've seen last year, he has not performed Cobb Miners at the level of Atalanta when he was employed in that position, in that two right behind the striker. And I don't think he has the speed, the stamina to play in that position right now. And actually has done much better in the last few weeks when he was playing as a center midfielder with Kefren Turam. So I think eventually I would preserve it. I would preserve Cobb Miners for that position right there in the midfielder position, because we already lack depth. We don't have Miretti, which is injured. Unfortunately, Adzic has not yet showed that he can actually play in Serie A, so we're still waiting for him, and he's very young. So in the midfield, you don't have any options. Probably better to preserve Cobb Miners and then go ahead and use David, Ildiz, Openda. And I hope in the future also Juventus is going to be bold and start playing with two strikers up front, because we do have the depth on the bench on strikers, which is something that's been missing for a couple of seasons. On top of that, we need to see what's going to happen with the wingers, because it's clear that Tudor wants to play Kalulu in that position on the right, kind of like right back. And then on the left, I think at the end, the best choice right now would probably be Weston McKennie. I think McKennie is very versatile, and I do believe that he might not be in the right position on the left. But as of right now, with Cambiaso still disqualified for the game, I think after the red card that he got against against Parma, first game, I think playing McKennie there would make the most sense. But that's just what I think. I think Tudor needs to show two sides. One is the pragmatic side, but also needs to be willing this year to take risks, because Juventus cannot afford anymore to waste another season, which in the past few years, we are never really challenged for Scudetto. I'm not saying we need to win it, but I do believe that Juventus, because of his history, because of the fan base, needs to still challenge, at least for the Scudetto. And we know how Juventus coaches often get criticized because they're very conservative. In Italy, you play very conservative. It's better a tie and no show than not putting up a show than losing and then getting defeated. So that's really the Italian mentality. But this could be the chance to mix the script, flip the page, take a chance, take the other team by surprise, because if you let Inter comfortably play the game, you will lose the game on Saturday. That's what I think. And doing so, taking a chance, showing that, hey, you know what? I have a new player. I think it's great. I'm going to play him right away. Is going to also show to not just the fan base, but especially the other Italian teams like Inter, like Juventus, Milan, and whatever. We can put in Atalanta, even if it's a little behind this year, but it can show proof that he wants to take a chance this year, and he's not going to be the same Juventus that is going to be waiting for the other team to do whatever they want. So I think this press conference, Comolli's press conference, wasn't fireworks, but we did got a few key points, and I think this is very important. Zhegrova, for example, is not ready. We knew that before, and this press conference confirmed that he's not ready now. It's going to take some time to get fit, and we need to be patient as supporters. At the same time, Openda instead is ready to go and is making a case for himself. He wants to play and he wants to start helping the squad. And then the Juventus is still competitive, ambitious. We have young players. So this year has to be a different year. And Tudor, again, he now needs to make tough calls, important calls, and raise up to the level of what a Juventus coach should be. Anyways, tomorrow there is another press conference. There is going to be Tudor press conference, and I don't expect major revelations. We know that these days this conferences are pretty. In Italian we say politichese, so means pretty politically correct, so they don't share much, but it's going to be interesting to kind of like sense the temperature of the room, see what look inside the eyes of Tudor, see what it feels like, what his idea is, and who knows, maybe he's going to share something. I don't believe so, but now I want to leave the ball in your court because I'm curious to know what do you think about few things. The first one is, would you play actually, who would you play instead of Conceição behind our striker and side by side with Ildiz? Who would you play? Would you play Miners, or would you play, so be conservative and play Miners, or let's go big or go home and start with Openda right away? Which one is the approach you prefer? More cautious or kind of like head down, helmet on, like Tudor has been saying, and let's go? So there is a lot to talk about, and I'm going to try to keep you updated. Let me know if you like these videos. Happy to do it once a week, and even more if I see there is some sort of feedback. And very important, drop your comment down below. I want to know what you think and start building a community. Thank you so much. Sempre Forza Juventus, Forza Juve. And then, of course, there is going to be follow-up after the game of Saturday. But let me know if you want more contents. Forza Juve. Ciao.